Hey everybody, Warsimmer here, and today we're going to be starting a playthrough of the Graviteam DLC Pivot Point, which, probably not coincidentally, was the furthest east the Wehrmacht ever penetrated into the Soviet Union, just beating out the 6th Army at Stalingrad. This operation takes place in the middle of December 1942, which, if you're familiar with the timeline of the war, was also when that 6th Army that we were just talking about was encircled by the Soviets. Here is the overall position of the front in mid-December. You can see the encirclement at Stalingrad here, and if we look further south, we can see the position where we will be playing right here on the Trans-Caucasus front. Now, I have a friend on the forums who goes by the name of Tony, and he has compiled a sort of collector's edition of this operation, complete with overview, maps, and tons of original documents, as well as aerial photography from the game, and quite frankly, it's really incredible work. And you can check it out yourself on the game's Steam page in the Community Hub, but I'll put a link into the description, and we're going to use some of that content right here to provide an overview of the situation. So without further ado, here is the German High Command situational map for December 15th, the day of our DLC. If we start up north, just southwest of Stalingrad, you can see the 6th and 23rd Tank Divisions attempting to push up and rescue the 6th Army, commanded by General Paulus, in what was called Operation Winter Storm. Moving south, we come to our battle, the borders of which are outlined in red, and the culmination of Operation Edelweiss. That was the German attempt to take the Caucasus and oil fields that came along with it. Needing to fuel the German war machine, the Führer authorized Edelweiss in July of that year, but it never reached its ultimate goal. You can see both the Stalingrad and Trans-Caucasus fronts here, a Soviet designation. Army Group A and B for the Germans are labeled here. Note the 5 X's representing the fronts. At this time, it was Ivan Tylenev, a guy whose name I can't pronounce, but I do know that he was a former factory worker and fisherman who commanded the front for the Soviets, whilst Wilhelm List was at the helm of Army Group A, though you know who took command at the end of November. Today, December 15th, we'll be playing the Soviets as we start the push back on the Wehrmacht with the ultimate goal of driving them away from the Caucasus for good. You can see here the Soviet 58th and 44th Army, commanded by Vasily Kamenko, and most of the troops that we will be playing with, starting their offensive against the German positions, primarily held by the 3rd Panzer Division. This position is just a few kilometers northeast of Mozdok, the primary objective of the Soviets, and just outside of our operational boundaries in the game. While the Soviets end up capturing Mozdok on January 3rd, we will have to start today at Shepetov and Bezarutkin. Okay, let's start by going to our debriefing map. And I really like going to this, especially at the start of campaigns like on turn 1, because it gives you an historical overview of what was actually happening at the time, and it gives you an idea of where recon has placed your units and the enemy's units, as well as their composition, where they're at, and just basically an overall idea of what you'll be facing. So if you look at this map, you can see up here the only thing that we're facing from the 3rd Panzer Division is, it looks like mechanized troops. You can see mechanized troops have this little horizontal line with what looks like 2 little houses on either end. And then it looks like we're facing a lot of artillery. You can see them here, up here, here, scattered throughout here, and then some anti-tank weaponry here and up here. Now, it's 1942, December to be exact, and this is a tank division, so by now we're probably going to see a lot of 5cm packs, maybe some 7.5 centimeters, and maybe even some 88s. This is a tank division, so they're probably going to be pretty well equipped, and I know they were using these by that time. They were using the 88s in an AT role. especially with the T-34s that they know they'll be facing. So they put a lot of those 88s in AT roles. Okay, let's start getting our battle groups set up. I'll start right here on the middle part of our line, the eastern side. This will be the group that's driving towards Bezerukin. So it looks like this is mainly from the, let's click the middle mouse button to go to them. This is the 684th Rifle Regiment, and we'll just go ahead and we'll start with these 3 battle groups. That was these 3 on the map right here. So we'll start with the first. As far as our FO, which is our off-map artillery, I am going to look to be placing 82mm mortars, which you can see right here. Now, the reason I want to place those is because when I selected this operation in the beginning, there was a special limitation that was called limited artillery. Whenever you have that, it basically means that your off-map artillery is always going to be scheduled. In other words, you have to schedule the bombardments before the deployment or before the engagement begins, unless it is smaller battalion-level artillery. At least that's what it's been in my experience. And in the Soviets' case, your only battalion-level artillery that is off-map is your 82mm mortar. So I'm really going to be looking to assign these because we can have these on call during the engagement as opposed to something that's scheduled. So you can see the artillery spotter, so we know it's off-map artillery. Go ahead and schedule that for this battle group, or put this into that battle group. Probably no tanks or self-propelled guns are going to be allowed. And then for our support gun, let's see. Maybe in this battle group we'll do machine guns. Let's see. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do machine guns. Now, one thing I've noticed is look at the experience levels of these troops. Now, it's 1942. The Soviet Army, the Red Army, has really advanced, especially by the end of 42. It's a lot more potent than it was at the start of the war. But these look like a lot of fairly fresh troops, to be honest. Like, I'd really feel more comfortable if they were up in the 50s. I mean, to be honest, when you're in the 30s, as soon as these troops come under fire, they're probably gonna get suppressed. It's probably gonna really hamper us, especially offensively, because these troops are just gonna be suppressed very easily. They're gonna be prone to retreat, but we'll just manage as we can. As far as our auxiliary support squads that can be in these platoons, it looks like we have machine guns and snipers available. And I'll just go ahead and right-click here to assign those auxiliary squads. Anti-personnel should be the machine gun squads, and we'll just assign them to our infantry platoons for starters. Let's see. Coming down to the second one, you can see we have the option of 2 support guns here. So we'll see what we can do for the commander. I want to do something where this commander can act as a spotter for our support guns down here. And so to do that, we probably want to find a commander that is specifically suited to command artillery. So let's see. This is a company commander for mortars, for the 1 mortars. And you can see he has a wire crew with him. Because like if you look at this regular commander, you can see he does not have a wire crew with him, which means he would not link up with the platoons below him. So we want to get rid of this guy, especially if we're going to be using artillery. So let's go with the let's go with my first option, the first mortar company commander. Now, because he's the first mortar company commander, he's only going to be in command of these first mortar company units. So let's see if we can find them. Excuse me, right here. And here's some 82mm mortars, which those are huge mortars, and there are 4 of them. So these are really going to come in handy. We'll assign them, and then we'll assign the other first mortar company. We'll do these guys right here. Forward observer. Again, I want to use those 82mm off-map mortars as much as possible. And let's go ahead and assign our anti-personnel. Coming down to the third. 2 support groups available. Let's see, what can we do? Let's see what our commander options are first, because I'm willing to bet, yeah, this guy's not, he does not have a radio crew with him. So let's right click and see what we can do. Here's a battery commander. Now, what's interesting here, and I don't know, I haven't tested this mechanic, but I think this is how it works. So you see this guy's a battery commander, which means he's specifically meant to command batteries. If you look, he has his telephone and cable squad, so he'll be able to link up with the platoons beneath him. But if you also look right there in that third spot, there's an artillery spotter. Now that is not for off-map artillery. Now I believe, I haven't tested this out, we'll see, but the artillery spotter, I believe in this case, acts as another observer. So I think the telephone squad is going to link up the artillery spotter here to the battery commander as well. And so he can relay spotting information on down through the wire matrix as well. So essentially you have two spotters with this artillery spotter here. You have him and you also have the battery commander that can act for a spotter. So we'll try that out. Assign some artillery. What is this, right? That's a 122 millimeter howitzer. That is going to cause some big explosions. So we'll assign him, and we'll assign the other one with him as well. Out of the 88 millimeter guns, let's go with some. Let's just go with these 4 76.2 millimeters. Now, doesn't matter what commander's on the field with this off-map artillery. Again, we have that limited artillery option in the beginning. And that rings particularly true for the Soviets. They didn't coordinate their artillery as much as the Wehrmacht did, so you're going to run into these situations where often it will be scheduled only. But that's fine. We can use them on villages. We can use them on Bezerukin, which will be the village we're going to assault, or any other strong points that we're going to see. So I'm going to go ahead and assign all of these other battle groups extra platoons and then just get them all sorted out like I did here with the 684th. And I'll get back to you. I might go ahead and show you what I do with some of these tank battalions just to show you what we have available to us. And then we'll go ahead and do our movements. So since we finished our infantry and artillery, we can move on to our armored units. And let's start up here on our northwest flank. I think the general idea of what I'm going to do, it is 2 p.m. right now. It's just a bit after midday. I'm going to try to move this group of battle groups up to Bezerukin, maybe hold around right here, and we'll keep these guys south of the Lenin Canal. If you look at our topography, you can see crossings here and here, 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 and here. And we'll have the southern battle group, or set of battle groups, cross around down here, come down and take this area. I'd like them to take this key point location. And then we'll see where we're going to go from there, see how the daylight situation is treating us. You can see that a lot of this land is actually really flat. Our high points are really right around this area. You can see there is a little bit of a hill right here overlooking Shepetov to the northeast of it. But for the most part, this is flat land, and I'm going to assume it's pretty snowy. On our northeast section, we're just going to push generally down southwest. And I want to keep this tank battle group on the western flank, the northwestern flank. So let's go to it and see what we're working with. Hopefully some T-34s. Our command platoon is T-34, which is great. And then what do we have for our tank platoons? 3 T-34s, 3 more T-34s. That's excellent. I love the T-34. Most people are probably aware of this, but when the T-34 was first seen by the Wehrmacht, I mean, the Germans did not have an answer for it. You know, they had these Panzer IIIs, they had short barrel Panzer IVs that were not really good in an anti-tank role, and their pack guns were like 3.7 centimeter packs, which are not really going to penetrate a T-34. Granted, it's December 1942, and the Axis has found ways to respond to these T-34s. They have the 5 centimeter, 7.5 centimeter, and even the 88 flat gun, and the anti-tank guns that can really do some damage to the T-34. And they have upgraded their Panzer IVs, and even their Panzer IIIs have some weaponry that, within the right range, can take out these T-34s. So they can deal with the threat. Still an awesome tank, especially on paper. Now, early war, there was some production problems. Well, I think you had spalling because of poor metal quality. You had bad welding quality. Ammunition was not the best. You didn't even have radios, I believe, in a lot of the tanks. Now, this is early war. But you didn't have radios in the tanks. They communicated by flags. And I believe, though, this is December of 42. I believe that maybe not every single tank had a two-way radio, but they at least all had receiving radios. I don't know the exact details, so if anyone does in the comments, go ahead and let me know. Let's move on to his sister unit. You can click on this right here, and anything that's blue, the blue are basically his sister units, and then you'll see the dark green, which are from the same, I believe, division, or the next step up in the order of battle. And then you finally have the light green, which are his supply units or his command units. His command unit right here, in this case, being the 320 Rifle Division. Alright, here's some more armor over here. I'm hoping this guy's sister unit, the 2-2 Tank Brigade, also has T-34s. Let's check it. Bam, T-34s, lovely, that's what we're looking for. Give him some recon scouts, and yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead, because these are our T-34s, I'm going to put some infantry with them. Now, because it's only one infantry platoon, they should be able to ride on these tanks, and their range won't be diminished. So you can click and see, so look at that range they still have. So we're not too infantry heavy, they can ride on the tanks, cover a lot of ground. Let's go ahead and initiate our plan. Now, I'm using the Indirect Order system. Most of you are probably aware of the difference between the Direct and Indirect Order system. If I was using the Direct Order system, let's say I clicked on this battle group, this would be his movement range, I right-click, and he moves to it immediately. That, however, is not how it works right now. I'm doing Indirect. Now, with the Indirect Order system, that is where you lay out all of your orders for the turn, and then when you end the turn, the battle group executes those orders in sequence from how you issued them first. So like if I moved this guy and then I did this guy, he's going to move first and then him. And they're just going to try to follow your orders. They move at the same time as the enemy. So it's not always going to work out exactly as planned, just like how it would be IRL, right? You know, you're not always going to have, the commander is going to issue the orders. They're not always going to be executed to a T. So it's a little more realistic. So let's go ahead and get these battle groups moving. Again, this southern portion is going to stay to the south of the Linen Canal, and we're going to take this position first. So we'll move him here, march him there, here, and here. I'm also going to click this so I can know keep units together for unit cohesion that belong together, such as these sister units right here. Now, if you noticed, when I'm moving these units, I'm moving them past the green nodes in many cases, and that's because I have a lot of ground to cover, and I know the Wehrmacht is not here yet because nobody owns this key point. And sometimes, you know, these green nodes are just a suggestion. You're pretty much guaranteed to get to these positions, the green node positions, but sometimes the infantry can push it, and I've seen them go past these green nodes, so I'm hoping they can do that in these cases. Coming here, we're going to have these units take Bezarukin. Get that tank battalion, especially this one. No, they're light. Get him in front. Let's get these heavy T-34s out in front first. So we'll put him right here, right in the middle. We'll have him assault Shefetov. All right, it looks like we have it all laid out. Let's go ahead and end the turn. And you can see them moving in the sequential order that I placed the orders into. No combat has began yet, and now it's going to go to our debriefing map. And again, this is where we start to diverge from what is actually historical. And by the end of the operation, it might be completely different what you see on this map than what's actually happening in game. Some of these troops up here are exhausted. That's not good. And looking at our time, it is dusk. It's 6 p.m., so nightfall's coming. If I'm going to do any attacks, I want to go ahead and do them really on this turn. The reason being is, you know, we have all this open ground and it's dark. I don't want to have to face infantry at night or anti-tank weaponry at night with my armor. It's not a good idea to use armor at night because you're so susceptible to ambush. Alright, so in this engagement, we control every square kilometer of this area, excluding that prized southeast corner, which is Shephetov. Now, Shephetov is a major key point here, if you remember from our operational map. I don't know exactly what the time is. This turn actually started at 0600, but I think it's a little bit after that because we already played a turn. And when you have an engagement in a turn, typically the time does advance a little bit, so I'm hoping it's close to 7 o'clock. And we have complete daylight, and we can make use of that awesome artillery that we have. And speaking of awesome artillery, let's take a look at these off-map 82mm mortars. Yes, there's only 2 in each group, but they are on call, meaning that we can schedule them at any point during the engagement by zeroing in before the engagement begins. Now that's great because even though there are only 2 of them, we can use them as a sort of sniping tool. Now I do have the scheduled howitzer, but I'm going to use that just to lay waste to the town. Now, a little bit of a pro tip when you're placing your spotters. You can go to your map, and I wasn't even aware of this until recently, and I've been playing this game for years. I know that it shows the topography and the elevation. There's an elevation map on it. But if you do this, if you unclick your briefing and unclick your key points, you can see very clearly the elevation of everything. So you get a map like this where everything just looks kind of flat, but there's like micro terrain where it's like, oh, you're right here. Look, you can't see anything. Just go to your map and check it out. Okay, so that's how I did things like place my artillery guys. So like, let's go to this 82mm mortar platoon. Go to the commander. I'll right click him to go to him. I placed him here, and if you look and see what he can see, this is his area of sight. You can see, bam. Look at that. He can see pretty much everything. Let me rotate him. There you go. He can see pretty much everything, okay? The way I figured that out is you go to your tactical map, and you can place them, alright? Exactly where you need to place them. Where did he go? Where is he? Right here, okay? It's hard to see, okay? There are a lot of units on this map. But you can see there's 136 right there. Now your highest point, you can see, here's a 137 point, and I went ahead and placed a spotter right there, one of our off-map mortars. And I basically just went around for everybody that was spotting. Like, so this commander is spotting for these 82mm mortars right here. And I placed them at high points. And then I made sure to check their line of sight, and they have line of sight. So if we have enough daylight, we're looking great. See, here's another high point. I have spotters here. I also went ahead, and even though it's going to be getting close to max range, you see these green highlighted units. These are our machine gun crews, our Maxims. And Shephetov itself is almost out of range. Like, you can select one of them, and you can click this box to show the line of fire. It shows you how far away. You know, 1,000 meters is really far for a Maxim. However, we do have, you know, it's close to being maximum range, but he's on a high point. You can see what he can see. Look at that. He can see everything. So that's why it's important to check out these maps before the engagement. Just remember to turn off this, and you can see it much more clearly. Oh, something else that's really cool about it is you don't have to go back down onto the map. So like this guy right here, okay, if I want to, I can just right click, look, and it places them. So you can just click one of your spotters. You can say, oh, look, here's a high elevation point. Right click, bam, he's there. Come off the map. And you can see him right there, and then you can just test it. Look at his line of sight. Beautiful, right? I have everybody hidden right now, and I have them with fire at will off because I don't know what the daylight situation is going to be like. And again, I'm going to lay waste to this town with the artillery. Notice over here, these guys, I don't have them all hidden. There we go. Tell them not to fire at will. Then another thing, even though they're entrenched, I don't want them to be spotted, so I'm going to tell them to try to hide in buildings, which is this button right here. So they're going to take priority to hide in buildings when the deployment is over. Let's go ahead and work on this howitzer. And again, you can see I placed him using the map, just like I showed you in that example earlier. And you can just go right down to him, click his line of sight. Beautiful, right? He can see almost everything. Let's go ahead and lay waste to this town, right? I want to get rid of it. Actually, I want the Wehrmacht to get rid of it, and then I want to take it. Where's this fire task button? Right here. And you can see the artillery's coming, firing from back here, so it'll be a horizontal line like this. Start the bombardment right here. We'll start it 4 deep. And let's do, we have only 120 high explosives. Ooh, that's not good. Okay, so we're going to have to make some decisions here. Let's go ahead right in the middle of the town. Or actually, let's put it a little bit, let's put it right here. And with only, that's 30 rounds each, that's all we have. We'll just have to go with it. Go with 30 here. And we do have some shrapnel, so let's go ahead and use our shrapnel. Let's put that. And again, we're just having to guess. It's scheduled. Put it right here. And we'll say shrapnel. And we'll just say all. There's only 20 rounds total anyway, so. I don't even know why I made a firing lane. Just pick a point and fire. And you can see how accurate it is because we have line of sight. So schedule that. Now let's go ahead and do our mortars. And I'm not going to bore you with that. I'm just going to set up a bunch of zero endpoints around the town and right in this area so we can wreck them and call out artillery whenever we need it. And again, hopefully, there's enough daylight where our other mortar teams, this guy right here, can have a clear line of sight, and once the firing starts, he can tell his mortars to fire. We'll go ahead and go to our... Oh shit, I forgot to zero in. See how easy it is to mess up? Alright. Click of one button turns out to be a big mistake. Hopefully not too big though. You can see daylight starting to come through. I think we'll be able to take this town even without the on-call mortars. I have my troops hotkeyed. This will be my first group. Actually, I want to go ahead. This will be my first group, and I'll have them move up after. Let's wait 10 minutes. Hold down that shift key. Set a delay of 10 minutes. Right-click this so they're not hidden. Tell them to fire at will. Still holding shift. Tell them to come right up here and attack. I'm not going to tell them to maneuver. Next, go to our second battle group. Same process here. Shift click. Let's wait 15 minutes on these guys. Right click this so they'll quit being hidden. Fire at will. Now, the reason the hidden command is still checked and the fire at will command is still off is because we have queued the order by issuing all of this while holding that shift key. In other words, the orders are executed sequentially while doing this, and so they will remain hidden and will not fire at will until those 15 minutes are up. And at that point, you'll see that the remain hidden button will become unchecked and the fire at will button will become checked. Tell them to, actually I can see the trenches right here. Feels a bit gamey, a bit cheaty to me, but what can you do? Attack. And you can see again the designation 7:15 is when they'll begin the attack, so it's 7 o'clock. Might have a little more daylight to work with. Who's our third group? Got our third group here, fourth group, fifth group. Okay, this is also a recon platoon. I'm going to have them attack in conjunction with this other recon platoon, so I believe it was 10 minutes, right? Right click, fire at will. Attack. And I think I'm going to go ahead and have these guys over here also start after 10 minutes. I think that bombardment will be done by then. And we'll wait, let's wait 13 minutes because by the time this recon platoon gets up here, hopefully they'll be engaged and then we can sleep in and give some enfilade flanking fire. So we'll wait 13 minutes. We'll tell them to assault. Let's go with attack. Well, Let's go with assault. Let's get them up there quickly. What else do we have to work with? Got that battle group, that battle group. Obviously, you want to keep units that are together. Like, so you see these are all platoons from the same company. And then I like to hotkey them, okay? They don't have orders yet. So these guys, they'll go in conjunction with this group in the second echelon, which was how many minutes? 7:15 is when they'll attack. So, holding that shift button, we'll do 7:15 here as well. Right click, click here so they'll fire at will. Attack. Let's see what other battle groups we have. They're going, they're going. Alright. Got some armor here. Now I'm going to go ahead and push through with the armor, okay? We'll wait until 7:20 for that one, so. And we'll just tell them to attack up here. I've noticed with armor, what's interesting is if you give the attack move, it can be a bit janky because the armor will literally roll up to that point. Okay, so like with these trenches right here. Let's say you wanted to attack this with armor. You want to put the attack spot a little further back, about 100, 200 meters or so, because if you don't, what's going to happen is this armor is literally going to roll right on top of the trenches and get stuck. So just always remember that. Keep that in mind. See if we have anyone else. 7. Hotkey 7. I ran out of hotkey room. Man, I got to all the way up to 9, up to 0, I think. I used every single one of my possible hotkeys. We'll wait until 7:20 on these as well. Shift key. And again, this is all tentative. No plan survives contact with the enemy, right? Do 7:21. Feeling a little frisky. We'll have them attack up here. So everything looks great. Beautiful battle plan. I believe we're going to be able to take it. Hopefully we have some daylight so these mortars can assist with the assault. We're going to bombard the town with the 122 millimeter mortars, or I'm sorry, the 122 millimeter howitzers. That would be a crazy mortar. And we forgot to zero in with our mortars here. So that is going to impede us a little bit, but what can you do? Let's go ahead and get started. We're just waiting now for that bombardment of Shephetov to begin. So it looks like the lighting situation is not too bad right now. 7 a.m. Looks like the fog is cleared. Very nice. Right at the center of the town. I love how it takes time for sound to travel in Graviteam. You notice you did not hear those explosions immediately. Ooh. Wehrmacht's got a little bombardment going on its own. .710's when our first troop movement begins, signaling the start of the offensive. There we go. There's some right there. I think they're in trenches. Yep. Let's see. I think I've got these mortars hotkeyed. You can see, looking at the commander, the dot is yellow, which means this enemy's been sighted, but he does not have eyes on him. If it was like a whitish color, it means that he does have eyes on him. He could relay orders to his mortars to hit that position. Out of curiosity, let's see if he has line of sight to it. Boom, looks like he does. I'm telling you, set those troops according to the height map. One thing I can do before the engagement begins is, these are our 50mm mortars. You can see behind, I have the 50mm with, you can see the 50mm right here. I have them with the 82mm. I'm going to go ahead and use some of the 50mm mortars. We're going to assign observe fire. So even though that commander didn't specifically see those troops there, I know there are some here, and he should have eyes on it. So I can click this, right click here. You'll see this fill up. And once it gets to 25, those mortars will begin firing. We can take out those positions before the engagement begins, which will help because we have recon troops all through here. You can see there's some, so they'll come into contact with these guys first. I'd like to take out both of these trenches. Is it 16, 17? Now, one thing you can do, I don't know if this still works, but let's select all of our mortars. I'm control clicking to select them. If you right click this fire control, they will not follow this guy's orders. So you see at 25 they should start firing. I don't want them to fire yet because that's not super accurate. I want to wait until it gets to 50 at least. And interestingly, it looks like it's not wanting to go above 25, so I might have to have them start firing at 25%. Looks like it did work because they're not firing. Let's go ahead and put fire control back on, and they should start firing. Lighting them up with those mortars now. Now you can see our recon beginning to move out. Perfect timing, because these trenches got hit right when they started moving. They'll be suppressed. There goes the flare. So we have Wehrmacht troops right over here. Mortars hitting them. So glad daybreak is here so we can get that artillery support. Look at that, right on their trenches. Beautiful. In fact, I'm just going to tell this commander to quit doing designated fire and let him call out targets himself when he sees them. Got an overview here. Our artillery's firing. So there is a decent amount of troops here. You can see these fires, orders coming down with our mortars. They'll help with this assault tremendously. Got an MG over here. But they are just getting lit up with that artillery. Finally. This was exactly what we needed. Another MG position over here. Looking good. 7:14 now. They're scheduled to start at 7:15. Over here, they've already began their assault as well. And we have entered Shevatov. See the flares going. Lovely. As long as our artillery fire can keep up, it should be looking good. I don't see any AT yet. You know, we have those Stuart light tanks moving in with the second wave of this assault. And the beauty of Graviteam, I haven't issued any orders, really, since the engagement began. We, in our initial deployment, we went ahead and gave the orders, and they're being carried out right now. I can hear the armor moving. Oh, no. Oh, boy. He just got nailed. I can see where it's coming from. Back here. Got a long ways to go. I can see it right here. Let's see exactly what it is. Probably a pack. Yep, it's a pack. I'm not ready to lose these Stuarts yet. I really want to keep them in the fight. I'm just going to have them retreat. All of them. We have enough infantry to take this town. I don't want to have armor in the town. You can see on the left flank over here, this battle group coming in. What are they hotkeyed as? 6. So I'm going to queue an order after this. I'm going to hold down shift and then tell them to take defense once they get here. So basically they're going to assault up to this point, then take defense in these buildings or any surrounding cover they can find, and they can provide enfilade fire while our main assault is conducted. Second wave's moving in now. Oh, did you see that? Both of them. Got both of them. It's not what I wanted. That's why I wanted them to retreat. It's too late. So these Stuarts were scheduled to move out in 1 minute. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to cancel their orders. Going to all of our tanks and canceling their orders. I do not want them to engage. We can take this town without them. Look at all the overwhelming infantry we have. Cancel order. Cancel order. What else do we have? These Stuarts. Cancel their orders. They're scheduled to move out in a minute. Cancel their orders. Him as well. The leader. And we'll cancel his orders. Where is he? Back here. Have him get out of here. So we've lost 2 Stuarts, which is very unfortunate, but it looks like the assault on the town is going well. check out our 82mm mortars. We're already getting low on ammo. What do we have? Oh, they're out. They're out. Okay, what do we have here? He has 100% of his ammo still. This one, 16%. So he's our only mortar left with any ammo. I'm not sure why he's not firing. Here's his commander. I'm gonna move him up closer to the commander. I don't think that's the issue, but I'm going to. Here's his commander. Let's see if we can designate some areas to hit. I'd like to hit this AT. Honestly, I don't think he can see him, though. See if he can get eyes on it at 0%. We'll see if that slowly climbs. No, doesn't have eyes on it. So you can see our recon platoon right here has gotten tied down, but we have the second wave coming right behind them. Ooh, gotta stop these Stuarts. Cancel their orders. They can provide support from back here. I don't think they're in sight of these packs. So while the second wave's coming up, instead of telling these guys to take defense, I'm going to go ahead and tell them to continue with the assault. I want to make sure they're tired. That's the issue we have. Okay? They have 17 stamina. Who else is coming? So many hotkeys. These guys. We'll go ahead and tell them to attack up here. Okay, so all of our mortars expend all of their ammunition, which is a good thing. That's why our assault got off to such a good start. We just completely took those soldiers by surprise, the frontline troops of the Wehrmacht and Shepetov, and they were just completely suppressed by that initial mortar bombardment. See, our troops now are hitting the outskirts of the town. We've already taken the left flank of the town. There's our pack. And you can see in the distance the Stuarts that they just mutilated. I think this guy might be a platoon commander. He's just keeping his head down. Another overview of the battlefield. It's going in our favor. We even have reserves. This group right here. I think I'm going to go ahead and tell them to assault the position. Not anything else we can do right now. Every single one of our mortar platoons has expended all of its ammunition. It was well worth it. And now we just have to take the town. I wish these guys were not so tired. Looks like they've got their stamina back, I believe. Let's see. Still tired. Let's just go ahead and do it. We need to do assault. Shift to chain orders, excuse me, and then we'll have them take defense afterwards. You can see some of our troops are just totally in the town now. These guys, I'm going to tell them to take defense. And now the Germans are surrounded from all sides. This building's it. I want to take those packs out. Give our stewards free reign. We got packs right here, and those are big packs. Probably 5 centimeters. Our infantry's right beyond this hill. Right behind that building. Want to take out those packs. So this is an intense fight for those packs. So you can see the assault from the southeast of Shevatov is well underway. We're even beginning to surround them from the opposite end. And then we have the bulk of our attack coming in through here. So you can see our troops right here. Off in the distance are our troops as well. The Wehrmacht sandwiched in the middle. Our troops are working at the crest of the hill. And this is just bitter fighting. Come around to this side of the house. This guy has a PPSH. That's excellent. Beautiful. Things are getting desperate for the Germans now. Not sure what that artillery piece fired at, but I think their fate is sealed, if we're being honest. They're not giving up, though. Grenades. Another grenade. You can see it right on that pack. And they should just surrender. There's nothing they can do. Just completely surrounded. Another pack, I didn't see that one. Overview of the battlefield. These troops are exhausted. So the hardest fought part of the battle was right around this house right here. For the longest time we had the packs right here that held out to the bitter end. Our troops stayed hidden behind this building on this hill. But eventually our numerical advantage just overtook them. Looks like there's still a few German holdouts just on the outskirts of Shepetov. And that's the end of the battle. Look at the forces. 175 to 1254. Felt like a much harder fought battle than that. You know, that's just the way Graviteam works. Probably took over every single part of the map. Hopefully we did, at least. And yeah, you can see we did. It's just a sea of red. Casualties, we had 77. The Wehrmacht, 138. 27 killed, 231. We lost. They killed 2 of our Stuarts, if you remember. We killed 3 of their packs and 2 of their trucks. Before this next engagement, I want you to take note of how this attack is coming from this specific node, and the attack arrow is going 2 kilometers deep into our territory. You'll also notice the arrow itself looks a little different. It's broken rather than solid, and this indicates a rush attack or a sort of blitzkrieg attack if you prefer that term. In a normal engagement, the attacking node will only penetrate 1 kilometers deep into enemy lines, while this one gets 2. The benefit is you can capture more territory, but there's a trade-off, and that's that you'll have less troops in battle because in these attacks it is the attacker who only has a 1 kilometer deep line, rather than the defender who has 2 now. As the defenders, this gives us a tip to what is coming, because the only units that can initiate these types of attacks are either A, armored units, or B, mechanized. And we are about to find out. Alright, so I finished up deployment, and what I did is I just created a long, wide front across the entire area. Now, let me give you a tip whenever you have infantry squads, like, let's take this infantry squad, for example, and you have them really spread out. Now, by default, when you click on these squads, you'll see that their maneuver control is typically on. And what that means is the AI will act to make them stay in contact with their commander, and that's important for operations so they're able to communicate. However, if you're operating defensively and they're spread out far from one another, you want to make sure this is turned off. The reason being is they'll get outside of this communication range of their platoon commander. This guy right here will start the engagement, and what's going to happen is they're going to immediately run towards their commander to get within communication range again. We don't want that. We want them to set up defensively and to not move, and to be able, we just want to have a defensive front, and we don't want them running to their commander and abandoning this position. So only on defensive operations you might want to consider unchecking this. Now this should be a fun little engagement. I'm not going to waste any of our scheduled artillery. I went ahead and zeroed in with these 82 millimeter mortars that we had, and I maxed out the amount of zero-in points you could do. You're allowed 8 zero-in points. Or I believe it's 8 zero-in points. It might let me do another one. Let's find out. Alright, so it might have changed. It used to be 8 as the max, but you might be able to do an unlimited amount of points now, but I think 9's plenty. I'm not going to go any more than that. Another thing really cool I want to show you. Do you remember that tip about the tactical map? Well, how cool is this? I can't believe I never thought or never knew to use this until recently. Remember, we disable this, and we get a clear view of the elevation map. Check that out. We've got one of our spotters here, right here. We have the 82 millimeter mortars. You can see they have 100 ammunition, 40 rounds of high explosive each. And what I did is I found this high point. You can see, look at that. 137, I just right-clicked on that point. Let's get off the map. Here he is right here. And you can even test yourself to see his range of sight. Oh, gorgeous. So if the Wehrmacht comes rolling back, we're just going to be able to take him out. And, as an added bonus, check out his mortars. See that? Look at that. Now that's micro-terrain, alright? So everything looks flat, but it's really not. You've got to get on the ground, got to get dirty, or at least look at those maps. You can see how our mortars are hidden from enemy fire, but they can still receive the fire task orders from their commander. So hopefully we can make good use of those 82 millimeters. Now I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to play defense. I thought that I assigned anti-tank weaponry to one of these battle groups. Apparently I didn't. We do have the stewards though. We have to be careful because they may have armor. In fact, I have these stewards out, in the open where they can be seen. I might hide them in maybe some gullies before the engagement begins, because if they're bringing Panzer IIIs, Panzer IVs, those stewards do not have a chance. They don't have a chance. So an ambush attack may be our best option before the engagement begins. Now, if the enemy attacks and we repulse the assault, I'm going to use, I have them here hotkeyed at 1, this battle group right here to do a general attack, counterattack in this direction and take our positions up here to the west. And with that, we can move to our initial orders. And I'm probably going to move these armored pieces. They're just stewards, little stewards. Really, I think ambushing is their best tactic, particularly if they have armor. So what I'm going to do is the reverse of what we did earlier. Tried to find the high points. Now we're going to find the low points. So let's see. We'll have these stewards take defense down here. And see, I had them on the high point. 136 elevation. These stewards, let's hide them directly behind the hill. Finally, these. Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. You can see how right here we have these T-60s and I have them down low. So if there's armor at a distance where they don't have any chance against Panzer IIIs and IVs or even packs, we can hide and lay in ambush as they advance on us. Let's go ahead and get started with this engagement. You can see our Stuarts moving to their positions behind the hills, so they're not going to be spotted. You can see daybreak, it's full swing right now. Alright, it's early morning. You can see everything on this battlefield. It's so flat. If you have any point of elevation you can get on, like we've done with our spotters, I mean, you're going to be able to see the entire field. So artillery is going to reign supreme in our engagements going forward. And also armor. This type of terrain was made for armor. You can see they're just now passing our mortars. I believe those are the 82 millimeters. And you can see they're just going to camp out right here. And I think what I'm going to do is rotate them. I can just hit the R key. It's this button right here. Make sure they're at least facing the right way. But you can see we use that map, perfect, to see a location. Cancel his order. To see a location that would place them behind a hill. Right click there, he should turn around. I don't know why this guy did not turn around. Let's try it again. Oh, not executed. You can see our order wheel was red. Okay, when it's like this, when it's red, the order will not execute. When it's like this, it should. And see how it's red. So if I was to execute an order here, it tells you how much it's required to order him, to give him an order. It's 28. Why is he not moving? Not gonna worry about it right now. Move here. I think he's a little exposed where he was. Okay, so those look like mechanized units. Excellent. I was afraid they had their armor available already. So that's why it's important to always look at your debriefing, especially on the first turn whenever you start an operation. We knew from that debriefing there was mechanized units in the northwest corner of the map. I went ahead, thought I placed anti-tank guns. I moved up these tank companies because I wanted to be able to counter this mechanized threat. I also thought there was the possibility that armor is going to start rolling through. I don't want to have to deal with Panzer IIIs, Panzer IVs, no AT options at all, and it's still a possibility they'll be here in this engagement. Nice. Yes, that is a lot of mechanized units. I can see way off in the distance, it looks like they're bringing up a pack. I want to go ahead and take out these mechanized guns before the pack comes up to the front. You can see it right here, just off in the distance. Let me see if I can zoom in a little more. Right here. Pack, pack. And those are 5 centimeters, 7.5. Either way, that's plenty big enough to do us some harm. Okay, and you can see here, these are our only Stuarts that are exposed to fire, and you can see these white icons. That means they can directly see these. I want them to try to take out as many of these, as much of these mechanized units as possible before the packs roll up. You can see them right here and right here. However, I want them to GTFO before the packs roll up. Maybe hit them with some artillery if it's a possibility. Unfortunately, you can look where we zeroed in everywhere. This is the one area of the map. It always works like that. It's Murphy's Law that we did not zero in on. We zeroed in on the opposite side of the map. Hoping these Stuarts can take out some more tanks. You can see the two that they've taken out. Okay, we have some artillery hitting here. Packs are firing. I'm going to pause it. And we are going to make sure that these Stuarts get out of harm's way. We might lose a couple, it's okay. Generally, with your Soviet troops, I hate to say this, it sounds cliche, but your Soviet troops, as long as you can maintain a 1-to-1 KD ratio, you're doing okay. In general, I mean, it depends on the operation, obviously, and local engagements, but in general, yes. So, all we have to do, so this is the high point, we can just put them right behind that area. Let's see. Yeah, so we should be able to place them right here, and they should be okay. Like this guy, actually, he was already there. Put him here. Want to have him just reverse him, He can reverse as well. Oh, we don't have enough room. Let's unpause it. Have him reverse as well. And then I'll shift click to move him here. Not enough orders. See, that's why you do your initial order screen. Alright, then shift click to move him here. Shift click, move him here. Now, I want to see if I have any kind of artillery we can use on these positions up here, particularly with those packs. I'm thinking I want to pause it. I'm thinking a couple turns ahead, because the more packs we can get rid of, the safer, or the more aggressive we can be with our light armor and our T-34s, which will come into play soon. So what I'm going to do, we know we can't use the off-map artillery. We don't have anything. Well, let's see. Yeah, there's simply nothing we can fire on right now. We could fire on this area. Actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and cancel that zero-in task. Right-click here. And this is by a zero-in point. See that? Yeah, so it'll be pretty accurate. In fact, instead of doing that, I'm just going to place it right here. It'll be within 90. What I'll do is I'll do 2 quick barrages. So I'll do a barrage here. And we have 200 rounds of explosives. We even have smoke rounds. There's 2 of them. Let's do 10 per gun. That's 20 rounds total. Right click. And then we'll bombard. You can see once you get out of range, it gets a little bit harder once you get away from that zero-in point. See, look at that. 70 compared to 150. I don't care. We're just going to do a general bombardment. We'll do 30 per gun right here. There might be a bunch of Wehrmacht troops that we can't see back through here, and where the dispersal is wider, we might net ourselves a few more kills. So, looking at these packs, I bet you 5 centimeters. So they're not 7.5. They're 5 centimeters. That can still, I mean, that's definitely going to kill our Stuarts, our T-60s, our T-50s, and it will even cause problems for our T-34s. I want to see if we have any artillery on the map. I can hit 0. I hotkeyed my mortar commanders, 0 and 9. You can see them right there and right there. So here is our first mortar commander, and if I click, you can see his mortars are right next to him. I'm going to see if I can assign observe fire. So I just click here, and fortunately the mortars are right next to each other. I can right click, and then once it fills up to 25, if he has eyes on it, the mortars will begin firing. He does have eyes on it. You can see our Stuarts are still engaging these targets. I want them to get behind that hill before they get killed. There's our artillery commander. So you can see from his position, I want to see what he can see exactly. Look at that. So he has a great view of everything. And we have mortars firing automatically, but I want them to specifically fire at those packs. I believe that's them right there in the distance. I think we're going to be able to repulse this attack. Those are mechanized units, which our infantry is going to have a hard time with, but I think with those mortars, some of our Stuarts we can ambush with, our T-60s. Let's look up. Yeah, those are our packs right there. That's what we want to target. He's at 19%. It looks like our T-60s are engaged, but I think they're out of range of the packs. Okay, so if we can take those packs out, this is going to be excellent, because this armor can take out the mechanized units. It's key that we take out these packs. Let's see. We're at 25. Excellent. So these guys should begin firing here in just a moment if it goes above 25. That's the second time in this engagement. I don't know if there's a bug. I'm playing the beta, so there might be a bug going on with this game, because, I mean, he has line of sight. Oh, he's facing the wrong way. Great. Alright. So he has... Look at that. He has line of sight to this area, and for some reason this is the second engagement where I've seen, look at that, pure line of sight, and it just stops at 25. So I don't know, this being the beta, if there's some kind of bug. That's really what it's looking like, to me at least. But I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. which is really not ideal because these packs can take out every single piece of our armor that we have. And we need that armor to get rid of these mechanized troops, so I'm not sure why... Left click it, let's try it again. Why it's halting right at 25%. I think it might have something to do with the beta, it might be a bug. But I can't guarantee that. I might just be missing a game mechanic, but I don't know. That doesn't look good to me. I'm going to leave our T-60s out to hit these mechanized troops. They're actually, yeah, it's really nice where they're right in the skull. It'll be really hard to hit. They're really well placed. So even though those packs are out there, I think it's going to be hard to hit them. Look at that. You can see the pack coming up right here. I'd like them to take it out. If they can't take it out, we're going to reverse, get out of here. But if you look, see, this is the micro train I'm talking about. If you look where he's at, it's a hard target to hit. But you can see the pack coming up. I'm going to go ahead and give them a priority target on that pack. There they are. Okay. What I'm going to do is pause it. I'm going to select my armor. And I control clicked to do that. That lets you select more than one by clicking. What I'm going to do is... Let's see what these are. Are these pack 5s? Yeah. So this is set priority. Just click and drag. You'll see the little X over them, and that means that's the target that they will pick out above all else. So we can unpause it. And hopefully you'll see now. And you can see the X. See that? I believe those are coming from the T-60s. We can just get these packs. Looks like they're getting ready to line up a target. There it goes, there it goes. That's what we needed. They fired. Come on. Here it comes. Missed. You can just see the tracers. Firing. We have some of our artillery going off. Those are from our mortars, most likely. He's still firing, though. We could be in trouble. We really need to hit these packs. Right here I've got our 82mm mortar, or 50mm mortar commander selected. See him right here. I'm going to see if I can assign a fire task right here. Hopefully it'll go above 25. If not, I'm pretty sure that we have a bug going on. I really want to take out these packs. He's firing right at our stewards. See our signal flares going up. Okay, so you can see, look, see that priority target, the X? He's going after him, but he's basically, these targets are at max range with one another, and where they're in a goalie, it's really hard for the pack to hit it, so I don't feel too worried yet. You can see, I think they might have hit some of them. You can see he's still firing. See that line? Let's check on our mortar commander. Stuck at 5, so he doesn't have a clear line of sight in that case. What about our other mortar commander? He can't see this target. You can see it's blue, but I'm going to see. Let's go to his position. Oh, okay. So I don't think he can see. There's no chance. It's filling up a little bit. Our mortars... Oh, they're almost out of ammo. So they've already spent most of their ammunition, or at least most of them have. Yeah, no... Well, they do have 24 HE rounds. 12. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to uncheck their fire at will box, because I don't want them having their own targets designated to them. Or, I'm sorry, I don't want them to automatically fire when a commander designates a target automatically. I want to save that for when I assign fire tasks myself, like in this case right here. Hopefully that will fill up. We'll check on it here in a little bit. How's our mortars doing? Let's see, they're still firing. They have 8 rounds left. You can see they're moving the pack up. And you can just hear the cracks of those bullets coming by. Oh. So they're firing at infantry right now. Alright, let's check out our artillery options. He's at 25, and again, it's stopped at 25. So I don't know, like I said, I'm playing the beta, and there might be a bug with it. I'm honestly not entirely sure why it's stopping at 25. So fortunately, our mortars were able to be utilized effectively. So we ran out of ammo even. And now it's just a question of if we can stop this mechanized assault. This is a lot of SDKFCs. We might have to roll out this armor. I don't want to waste these Stuarts, though. I really don't. I'm going to tell them... What I might do is see if I can get them to move covertly to this position. And then we can place them easier when needed. So what I'm going to do is tell them to convert move here. Oops, all of them. Tell them to convert move here. I'm going to do the same. And again, what convert move does, it means when they move, they will move in a manner where they try to stay at the lowest point around them, to where they will not be spotted by the enemy. So if there's like a ravine or a gully, they'll try to stay in that while they move and not expose themselves being spotted by the enemy. So you can see they're still going to move fast. Covertly doesn't mean slow. They're going to move fast. It's the path that they take. Okay, so now the mechanized units are really coming through. Okay, so zooming out to look at an overview of the battle. I don't want to move any of my Stuarts because it's too risky with those packs up there. I really wish we could have taken out those packs with the mortars when we had the opportunity. But for some reason, when I assigned those firing lanes, it just stopped at 25%. So if anyone knows if I'm doing a mechanic wrong, if something's changed, or perhaps if it is genuinely a bug, let me know in the comments if you know the answer to that. Our first line of defense is most likely going to fall apart. However, you can see if I do the one hotkey, this was my group that was going to be used to counterattack if we could. Ooh, look at that artillery. They might be able to provide a good line of defense, a secondary line of defense when this first line collapses. I do want to get my mortars out. Where are they? Here we go. This mortar group, I want to get them out of here. I'm going to just tell them to retreat. And then I'll shift click and tell them to take defense behind this secondary line of defense. I'm glad I have defense in depth going on here. I was thinking about moving these guys over here, but as you can see when I click on some of the units, they have visual on everything. So they have a good line of sight. They'll be able to provide assistance, and I don't want them bunched up too much. Oh. You can see that pack just laying fire on them. You know, in these situations, really, it's best to just let the AI handle it. You can see that pack is really having a difficult time hitting him, just because you look at that micro-terrain, you can see how low he is, so I don't even really want to move him right now. I think moving him would be more dangerous. So the Germans are advancing slowly but surely. I'm hoping that our second line of defense will hold up. And these Soviet troops just can't do much. You can see most of them are just taking cover, keeping their heads down. So you can see our off-map mortars. There's only 2 of them. They're firing. I believe that's what this artillery fire is here. Maybe we can knock off some tracks. That looked good. Nice, nice. We still have our T-60. There's a possibility we'll stop this advance at the first line of defense. And I can't tell you, man, being on the Russian steppe, just wide open ground like this, having to face down these mechanized vehicles, be a tall order. Very tall order. We even have our commanders firing. It's maybe a platoon commander. Ballsy. And I believe we may have just stopped that SDKFC in its tracks. If you remember, I told these mortars over here, our mortar team, our 82mm mortars, I took off the fire at will designation. I'm going to go ahead and select them all by control-clicking down here, and I'm going to tell them to fire at will again. Which means that, and you can see they're already communicating with the commander. He can designate targets. You can see they're already firing. See that blue radio icon? That means that he's communicating targets to our mortar team. Gotta make doubly sure, right? Double tap. Triple tap that son of a bitch. I think it's looking pretty good for us. 8:19 in the morning. 22 minutes left in the engagement. You can see our mortars, it says designation. That means that this commander right here can see the field and he's providing targets for this mortar. I want to use this to get an idea. About 500, about half a kilometer. Okay, so I'm going to say that, you know, this was the initial point of the advance for the Wehrmacht. They've come about half a kilometer, a little more than a half a kilometer, but I do believe we're going to hold. Still really angry about those packs. We should have been able to take those out. Not just for this engagement, we needed to remove them for previous engagements as well. They're still trying to go after this guy. I think we're going to be okay. Now let's see how far back these guys are. Oh no, we need to move. So it looks like the Wehrmacht's going to take this square. Because it's 2 squares deep, so they're going to have possession of this square after the battle. Can live with that. We also have armor here. That's out of the pack's range. See him right here. I might have them get up. Let's see what we can do here. Go to our map view. You can see here is the top of a hill. I'm going to move them up onto the top of this hill. They're all Stuarts. Move them here. Where's his buddy? Move him here. Move him here. And then these Stuarts, put right at the base. Now, one thing really cool about this game, this is how deep this game goes. You can look over here and it tells you that they use a radio to communicate. So apparently these tanks did have radio at this time. I don't know though if it's a two-way radio or just it can only receive. I'm not sure, honestly. Let's see if it gives any details. Limited radio. Now I'm assuming that means it's not a two-way radio back and forth. It's only the commanders that can communicate with the subordinate units. If anyone knows for sure, let me know in the comments. But they do have radio, and so whenever you issue orders, if you look, you can come up here to the order cost. It says required for selected is 36. It requires less from the order wheel, okay, if you have a radio. So depending on how effective your communication lines are, whether it has to be voice from troops that are only 50 meters apart, and there's loud firing going on, it's a huge firefight, it's going to cost more to issue orders because it's harder to communicate. If you have radios, it will cost less. It's just one of the small details I really enjoy about this game. The Stuarts coming up to the top of this hill, they might be able to provide fire support. I really think those packs, let's take a look at how far away they are. You can see, yep, see that firing line? And I have that enabled. Again, it's this. This is for just the selected troop. This is for all troops on the battlefield, so it shows what they're firing at. What I can do is click on this when I have the unit selected. It tells you the distance. And we're talking, look at that, that's 1,700 meters, so almost 2 kilometers. I am not worried at all about those packs, and I think we're going to be able to hold this position. This was lovely. My only regret is not being able to take out those packs. I know, I just can't let it go. Can't let it go. And if you're fairly new to this game, one thing you may notice is that you issue very little orders. Again, you have that order wheel limitation, and you have to give things time to develop, okay? You can't say, oh, I want these Stuarts to move onto the top of this hill. They're not doing it the exact way I want, you know, they're not lined up exactly what I want. Why is this guy right here, you know, why are these guys right behind each other? You can't worry about that, okay? You're not a micromanager in this game. You're a battalion commander, you just give general orders. Really, this is more of telling these guys to get in this specific location is a pretty specific order. So really, this is almost not cheaty, but I mean, you're really pushing the boundaries of what you would be able to issue in battle. I imagine a commander can say get on top of this hill, but just don't micromanage. The fewer orders you issue, the better. I think we're looking really good right now. Just destroyed that vehicle. And I think this is where we stop the mechanized advance in its tracks. I can give up 1 square, 1 kilometer square, nothing to stop a lot of these mechanized units. We've done some good damage to the Wehrmacht. And And you know, this is what's really cool about fighting on the Russian steppe with these huge open battlefields. You can see the packs. Look at those 5-centimeter packs way off in the distance. It's almost 2 kilometers away, and you have visibility to it. You're literally fighting at the extremes of your gun's ranges. It is a very cool situation. It pays to be patient with your armor, especially when you have armor that's going to be facing anti-tank weaponry. Don't use them in the early morning, they'll get ambushed. And even in situations like this, we didn't know exactly what they had. We knew mechanized was most likely coming, thought there could have been armor. They had some packs, kept the tanks back in the gullies, and then we brought them out. We baited them in. You see, we baited in the mechanized troops to where they were close enough to us to where we could hit them with our Stuarts, but the packs were out of range. Patience can pay off. You can see our Stuarts up here. That's not something that these guys want to see. So they walked into a trap. Now that is some firepower right there. Okay, we do have units retreating, but if you look, that's almost all on the front line. And that Wehrmacht advance just stopped. So again, looking at the tactical map, 4 squares. We own possession of this, this, and this one. They did take the first one, but I mean, for a 1 kilometer square area with no key points, they really sacrificed a lot of their quality units, a lot of their mechanized units. Who is this over here firing? Oh, those are Stuarts. Great positioning. Again, that is just the magic, okay, of using those elevation maps. Remember, just uncheck that. Look at that. You can see, hey, that's the highest point. Clicking on our 82mm mortars, you can see they wasted all their ammo, so that's excellent. They were utilized well because we had good placement of this commander. So you can see, even though he is all the way across the map, he is at the highest point. And see, it's kind of hard to tell, but use that elevation chart. Okay, so these guys have had losses. They have fought. This right here designates how many people are actively available in the squad. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, when you hover your mouse over here, you'll see there's 5 available. It means 2 were wounded, okay, and they were killed or heavily wounded, so they're probably not going to be back in the fight. There was 7 total, is what that means. And you can see right here, that's these guys. So these guys might look like they're dead, might end up dying, but they're actually okay, as far as, well, not okay. Alright, let's check the damage done. We had twice as much in weighted platoons. This is just a measurement that takes into account the actual forces that you bring to the field. It's not a numerical thing, okay? So like, let's say you have armor, like we had those Stuarts, that's going to be weighted more heavily than infantry. So we had twice the strength of the Wehrmacht and they were attacking. You have to remember, though, that the Wehrmacht troops are much better trained, at least with this locality that we're at. So you have to have a pretty good numerical advantage, even in weighted numbers with the Soviets. Typically, the Soviets in these types of engagements are going to have much higher losses unless you manage it well. Let's look at our losses here. It looks like we did lose the 1 square, because you can see we had 4 kilometers squared before. Now we have 3, so we can go here. You can see that is the 1 square that we lost, which we knew we were going to lose. See it? Casualties, 42 to 47. So it seemed like a really intense fight, but I guess where it was mechanized, it's just maybe more intense than what we thought. So pretty even on the casualties. What I'm interested in is the trucks and APCs. So look at this. We destroyed 8. That's
SDKFZs, I believe is what they're called. If anybody knows the proper way to name those, let me know, because I'm honestly not sure what you even call those, because it just sounds weird saying SDKFZ. I don't know if you want to call them like just personnel carriers. If you're German or Austrian, let me know what you call those. So that's what I'm happy about, though, is our 8 APCs that we took out. We did lose 3 tanks. You remember at the beginning of the engagement, willing to sacrifice that. It's fine. Let's go back to the operation. And you can see, actually, this is interesting. See this little yellow dot on the map? That means that a rush attack is available. So if I was attacking and I saw this yellow dot, that means I could do a rush attack. Now, this is past tense. It's already happened. But if you remember, we had that rush attack that was only available with armor or mechanized troops. And that's the designation for it. If you see that on a node and you attack that node, it will be a rush attack. Looks like we are done with this turn. We can go ahead and finish it. And I believe that will also finish part 1 of our playthrough. Guys, I really appreciate you listening. I know I very rarely upload videos anymore. I do want to get back into the swing of it. It's difficult with life and everything, but I mean, you guys know that. You know, it's no excuse. Everybody has to deal with life, right? I do these videos because I enjoy them. It takes a lot of work to create and edit them, and I really, really appreciate you guys watching. It just means the world to me. Appreciate the comments, so thank you for your support, even if I am not always here. I'll be having part 2 up shortly. You guys have a good day.